The air in our Brooklyn apartment hung heavy that morning, thick with the stale coffee I'd brewed and the tension we'd let fester. It was April 6th, 2025, and New York City pulsed outside our window, alive with the rumble of traffic and the distant hum of a gathering storm. Emily flitted around the living room, her boots clicking on the hardwood as she yanked a red scarf around her neck, a bright slash against her gray coat. Her cheeks were flushed, her brown eyes darting with a fire I hadn't seen in months. She was gearing up for the anti-Trump rally in Manhattan, a political powder keg that had been brewing since his latest campaign surge. Me? I just wanted to stay home, nurse a beer, and avoid the mess. "Come on, Jack," she said, her voice sharp, slicing through the quiet. "We're leaving in 5. I leaned against the kitchen counter, my fingers tracing the chipped edge of a mug. "I still don't see why I have to go. It's going to be a zoo out there." She spun toward me, her hair whipping across her face. "Because it matters. You can't just sit here while he's out there, tearing everything apart again." Her words stung, echoing our fight from last night. She'd called me apathetic, said I didn't care about the world or her. I'd bitten my tongue, but the ache lingered, a bruise I couldn't shake. I grabbed my jacket, the leather creaking as I shrugged it on, and followed her out. The elevator ride was silent, her staring at her phone, me watching the numbers tick down, each ding a countdown to something I couldn't name. We hit the subway, the car packed with bodies clutching signs. "No more lies, dump Trump," their chatter a dull roar in my ears. Emily pressed against me, her shoulder tense, her perfume cutting through the stale air. By the time we spilled out at Union Square, the rally was a living beast, thousands strong, voices clashing, banners snapping in the wind. The sky was a bruised gray, the air sharp with spring chill and the tang of sweat. Cops lined the edges, their radios crackling, while a guy with a megaphone bellowed about democracy's last stand. Emily's hand slipped into mine, but it felt wrong, limp, distracted. "Stay with me," I said, my voice swallowed by the crowd's roar. She nodded, but her eyes were everywhere else, drinking in the chaos like it was oxygen. I saw her lips curve, a flicker of a smile, and my chest tightened. She hadn't smiled at me like that in years. The chant swelled. Not again. Not again. And I felt the ground shift beneath me, not from the stomping feet, but from the way she leaned forward, away from me, into the fray. I told myself it was the rally, the cause, the adrenaline. But as her fingers slipped from mine, lost in the surge of bodies, a cold certainty coiled in my gut. I was losing her, and I didn't even know why. The crowd at Union Square was a tidal wave, crashing over me in waves of noise and heat. I'd lost Emily's hand minutes ago, her fingers slipping from mine as a surge of protesters shoved between us. My pulse hammered in my throat as I scanned the sea of faces, flushed, furious, alive with purpose. Signs bobbed overhead, jagged letters screaming, "Trump's done," and "Take back America," while the air buzzed with chants and the shrill wail of a distant siren. I stood on my toes, craning my neck, the leather of my jacket creaking as I twisted. Where the hell was she? "Emily," I shouted, my voice a thin thread swallowed by the roar. No answer. My boots scuffed the pavement, gritty with spilled coffee and crumpled flyers, as I pushed forward. A guy with a scruffy beard and a megaphone bumped into me, his elbow jabbing my ribs. "Move it, man," he barked, and I stumbled, catching myself on a lamppost slick with rain from last night. My breath came fast, fogging in the chilly April air. She'd been right beside me, her red scarf a beacon, and now she was gone. Panic clawed up my spine, sharp and cold, mingling with something darker, a flicker of doubt I couldn't name. I waded deeper into the chaos, the crowd thickening near a makeshift stage where a woman in a black beanie screamed about voting rights. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Emily. "Got caught up. Meet me by the fountain." Relief hit me like a punch, then soured. Caught up? With what? I shoved the phone back, my jaw tight, and elbowed my way toward the fountain, its stone edges slick and gray under the overcast sky. The smell of weed and sweat hung heavy, and a kid with a guitar strummed off-key nearby, his case open for coins that never came. Meanwhile, Emily wasn't waiting. She'd been swept sideways by the current of bodies, her scarf snagging on someone's bag before she yanked it free. Her heart raced, not from fear, but from the electric hum of the rally, the raw energy she'd craved for months. That's when she saw him, Ryan Moore. He stood a few feet away, tall and broad-shouldered, his dark hair tousled, a resist pin gleaming on his tailored coat. He held a sign, "No King Trump," and his voice cut through the din, strong and steady, joining the chant. Their eyes locked, a jolt passing between them like static. He grinned, a flash of white teeth, and stepped closer. "You look like you belong here," he said, his tone warm, teasing. She laughed, a sound I hadn't heard in ages, and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Maybe I do," she replied, her voice lighter than it had been with me in years. The crowd pressed them together, his arm brushing hers, and she didn't pull away. Her skin tingled, her chest tight with a mix of guilt and thrill. She thought of me for a split second, my furrowed brow, my quiet resentment, then pushed it down. This was different. This was alive. Back by the fountain, I waited, my hands shoved deep in my pockets, the cold seeping through my jeans. The minutes stretched, each one heavier than the last. My eyes darted over the crowd, searching for that red scarf, that familiar tilt of her head. Nothing. A woman bumped into me, her coffee sloshing onto my sleeve, and I cursed under my breath, wiping it off with a scowl. The rally's pulse pounded in my skull. Not my president. And I felt it, a growing ache, like I was losing more than just her location. When she finally appeared, weaving through the throng, her scarf was loose, her cheeks pink, her eyes too bright. "Sorry," she said, breathless. Got turned around. I nodded, swallowing the questions burning my tongue. Her hand found mine again, but it was clammy, distant. I didn't know it yet, but she'd already slipped away, not just from my grip, but from me entirely. The subway ride back to Brooklyn was a slow bleed. The car rattled along the tracks, its fluorescent lights flickering, casting shadows across Emily's face as she stared out the grimy window. Her red scarf lay crumpled in her lap, her fingers twisting it absently, and I sat beside her, my shoulder brushing hers but feeling miles apart. The rally's noise still echoed in my ears, the chants, the megaphones, the fury, but here, in this metal box hurtling underground, it was just us and the silence. I kept replaying her reappearance by the fountain, that flush on her cheeks, the way her eyes wouldn't quite meet mine. "Got turned around," she'd said. Bullshit. Something was off, and it gnawed at me like a splinter under a nail. We climbed the stairs to our apartment, the stairwell smelling of damp concrete and yesterday's takeout. My boots thudded heavy, hers clicked sharp, and neither of us spoke. Inside, the place felt smaller than ever. The sagging couch, the coffee table cluttered with her design magazines, the faint hum of the fridge. I shrugged off my jacket, the leather creaking, and tossed it over a chair. Emily kicked off her boots, leaving them sprawled by the door, and headed for the kitchen. I watched her go, her hips swaying in those tight jeans, and felt a pang, not desire, but something hollow, like I was losing the right to notice. "You want tea?" she called, her voice flat, mechanical. "Nah," I said, sinking onto the couch. My fingers drummed on my knee, restless. "You okay? You've been weird since we got back." She poked her head out, a mug steaming in her hand. "I'm fine, Jack. Just tired." But she wasn't fine. I saw it in the way she avoided my gaze, the way her phone buzzed on the counter, and she snatched it up too fast. She curled up in the armchair across from me, scrolling, her lips twitching into a half-smile at something I couldn't see. My chest tightened, a slow burn starting deep inside. "Who's that?" I asked, keeping my tone casual, though it felt like gravel in my throat. She didn't look up. "Just a friend from work. Asking about the rally." The lie hung there, thin and brittle. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, staring at the worn rug underfoot, a faded blue thing we'd picked out together 5 years ago. "You sure? You've been glued to that thing all night." Her head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Just what I said. You're acting like I'm not even here." She set the mug down hard, the clink echoing in the quiet. "Maybe because you're not, Jack. You were miserable all day. You didn't even want to be there." I shot to my feet, heat flooding my face. "I went for you. Because you asked me to. And you disappeared on me, left me standing there like an idiot." She stood too, her scarf slipping to the floor. "I told you I got caught up. It's a rally, not a damn leash." The air crackled, years of unspoken rot bubbling up. I stepped closer, my voice dropping low, trembling. Caught up with what? Or who? Don't lie to me. I saw how you looked when you came back. Her face twisted, guilt flickering before anger took over. You're paranoid. Always have been. I can't breathe around you anymore. Then why'd you drag me out there? I roared, my hands balling into fists. To watch you play activist while I'm just the asshole holding your coat. She flinched, but her jaw set hard. Maybe I needed to feel something, Jack. Something you don't give me anymore. The words hit like a slap, stealing my breath. I stared at her, the woman I'd married, her eyes blazing with a defiance I didn't recognize. The room spun, the chipped paint on the walls, the faint streetlight seeping through the blinds, and I felt it all slipping. She grabbed her phone and stormed to the bedroom, the door slamming shut with a crack that rattled the frame. I stood there, alone, the silence louder than the fight, my heart pounding with a truth I wasn't ready to face. The next few days were a slow bleed, each one tighter, heavier, like a noose I couldn't see. Emily moved through our apartment like a ghost, her footsteps soft, her eyes averted, her phone always close. I'd catch her in odd moments, texting in the kitchen at dawn, the glow of the screen painting her face in blue shadows, or slipping out to run errands, with her purse clutched too tight. I didn't ask anymore. I didn't trust myself to hear the answers. But the air between us was thick with it, something unsaid, something rotting, and it was eating me alive. It was Tuesday night when it happened. I'd come home late from the engineering firm, my hands still smudged with grease from a busted valve I'd spent hours fixing. The apartment was dark, the only light spilling from under the bedroom door. I kicked off my boots, the thud loud against the hardwood, and noticed her coat slung over the couch, the gray one she'd worn to the rally, its hem damp like she'd been out in the drizzle. My stomach twisted. She hadn't said she was going anywhere. I padded to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and that's when I saw it. Her phone, left on the counter, screen down, buzzing once, twice, like a heartbeat. I shouldn't have looked. I knew it even as my hand reached out, flipping it over. The lock screen glowed, a text from R. Last night was incredible. Same time tomorrow. My breath stopped, the glass slipping in my grip, water sloshing onto the counter. Last night. She'd said she was meeting a client, home by 10. I'd been asleep on the couch, waiting, the TV flickering late-night reruns. My thumb hovered over the screen, then pressed. Her passcode was still our anniversary, 0418, and the message thread opened like a wound. Can't stop thinking about you. Your trouble, Ryan. You love it. Ryan. The name hit me like a brick, and the timestamps burned into my skull. Last night, 11:47 p.m., when she'd been stuck in traffic. I scrolled up, my hands shaking, each word a knife, flirty banter, a hotel address, a photo of her laughing in a bar I didn't recognize. My chest caved in, a raw, jagged ache spreading from my ribs to my throat. She'd slept with him. She'd lied to my face and crawled into someone else's bed. I don't know how long I stood there, the phone trembling in my grip, water pooling on the counter. The bedroom door creaked open, and there she was, hair mussed, wearing my old flannel shirt, her eyes widening when she saw me. Jack! Her voice was small, caught. I held up the phone, my voice low, dangerous. Who's Ryan? She froze, her lips parting, then pressed tight. It's not what you think. Don't. I cut her off, stepping closer, the floor cold under my socks. Don't you dare lie to me again. I read it all, Em. Last night. Incredible, huh? Her face crumpled, guilt flooding in before she could hide it. Jack, I didn't mean. You didn't mean to screw some guy behind my back. I shouted, my voice cracking the quiet. The phone hit the counter with a clatter, and I raked my hands through my hair, pacing like a caged animal. How long? How many times? It was just once, she whispered, tears brimming. It was a mistake. The rally, the energy. I got carried away. Carried away? I laughed, bitter and hollow. 5 years, Em. 5 years, and you throw it out for some asshole you met in a crowd. She reached for me, her fingers brushing my arm, and I jerked back like she'd burned me. I'm sorry, she sobbed, her voice breaking. I still love you, Jack. It didn't mean anything. Then why'd you do it? I roared, my fists clenched, the room spinning, the chipped mugs on the shelf, the hum of the fridge, the life we'd built. Why'd you let me think I was enough? She had no answer, just tears, and I turned away, my heart a shredded mess, knowing nothing would ever be the same. The days after that fight were a blur of rage and fog. I slept on the couch, the springs jabbing my back, while Emily tiptoed around me, her eyes red-rimmed, her apologies hanging in the air like smoke I couldn't stand to breathe. I didn't want her words. I wanted answers. Who this Ryan was, what he meant to her, why she'd torched us for him. By Thursday, I couldn't take it anymore. I found his name in her phone again, Ryan Moore, and a quick search online spat out his LinkedIn. Marketing exec, 40, NYU grad, slick headshot with a smile that made my fists itch. Not some drifter, not a rally nut, just a guy with a good job and better game. I tracked him down to a midtown bar he'd tagged in a post, grabbed my jacket, and went. The place was upscale, all polished wood and dim lights, the kind of spot where suits clinked glasses after closing deals. I spotted him at the bar, tall, dark hair, that same damn coat from her photo, sipping a bourbon like he owned the world. My boots thudded on the floor as I stormed over, the air thick with cologne and chatter. Ryan Moore, I said, my voice a growl. He turned, eyebrows lifting, that easy grin spreading. Yeah, who's asking? Jack Carter, I said, stepping close, my shadow falling over him. Emily's husband. His grin faltered, just for a second, then slid back into place. Oh, that Jack. He set the glass down, leaning back like we were old pals. Look, man, I don't want trouble. Too late. I snapped, my hands balling up. What the hell were you doing with my wife? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. It was nothing serious, okay? We met at the rally, hit it off. One thing led to another. That's it. That's it. I laughed, sharp and bitter, my voice loud enough to turn heads. You sleep with her and call it nothing? He shrugged, a casual, careless shrug that lit a fuse in me. She was into it, Jack. I didn't promise her anything. It was just a night. I'm not looking for a girlfriend. His eyes flicked over me, cool, detached. She's all yours, man. No hard feelings. The words landed like a gut punch. Not a rival, not a lover, just a guy who saw her as a fling, a rally hookup to toss aside. My chest heaved, a mix of fury and something sicker, deeper. You used her, I said low, trembling. Nah, he replied, sipping his drink. She wanted it too. Sorry you got caught in the mess. I lunged, grabbing his collar, the barstool scraping as he stumbled. You smug bastard. Whoa, easy. He raised his hands, patrons gasping around us. A bouncer loomed nearby, and I let go, shoving him back, my breath ragged. He straightened his coat, unfazed, and I walked out, the cold night air slapping my face as his words sank in. She'd thrown us away for that. A guy who didn't even care. Back home, Emily was waiting, perched on the couch, her knees drawn up, her face pale. Where were you? She asked, voice shaky. Met your boyfriend, I said, slamming the door. Real charmer. Says it was just a fling. You're nothing to him. Her eyes widened, then filled with tears. What? No, he said. He said what? I cut in, towering over her. That he'd call? That he cared? He laughed it off, Em. You were a one-night stand. She crumpled, sobbing into her hands. And then, the twist that broke me. She looked up, desperate. Jack, I messed up. I was stupid. Please, take me back. I love you. I don't want him. I want us. I stared at her, the woman I'd loved, begging now, her voice cracking, her hands reaching. But all I saw was her with him, her lies, her choice. No, I said, cold as stone. You don't get to crawl back after that. Her pleas echoed as I turned away, my heart a raw, bleeding thing, split beyond repair. The apartment felt like a war zone that Friday night, the air thick with the wreckage of us. Emily sat on the couch, her knees tucked under her, her face streaked with tears that hadn't stopped since I'd thrown Ryan's indifference in her face. I paced the room, my boots scuffing the hardwood, my hands flexing with a fury I couldn't shake. The walls seemed to close in, the peeling paint by the window, the faint hum of the radiator, the clutter of our life together mocking me. Her red scarf lay crumpled on the floor, a bloodstain from the rally that started it all. I couldn't look at her without seeing him, without feeling the knife she'd plunged into my chest. Jack, please, she said again, her voice hoarse, cracking on every syllable. I'll do anything. I'll cut him off. I'll go to therapy. We can fix this. I stopped, turning to her, my jaw so tight it ached. Fix this? You think words fix this? I grabbed a framed photo from the shelf, us at Coney Island, grinning like idiots 3 summers ago, and hurled it against the wall. The glass shattered, shards glinting on the rug, and she flinched, a sob choking out of her. You broke us, Em. You don't get to glue it back together. She stood, unsteady, her hands wringing that damn flannel shirt of mine she still wore. I know I hurt you. I hate myself for it. But I'm begging you, don't throw us away over one mistake. One mistake. My voice boomed, rattling the windows. You didn't trip and fall into his bed. You chose him. You lied to me, night after night, while I sat here like a fool waiting for you. Her tears fell faster, her lips trembling. I was lost, Jack. The rally, the energy, it pulled me in. I felt alive again. And you've been so distant. Don't you dare. I cut her off, stepping closer, my breath hot and ragged. Don't put this on me. I've been here, every damn day, working my ass off for us. You wanted space? You got it, with some slick bastard who didn't even want you. She recoiled, her back hitting the wall, and for a moment, I saw the Emily I'd married. Vulnerable, scared, the girl who'd laughed at my bad jokes over diner coffee. But it flickered out, buried under the weight of her betrayal. I thought he cared, she whispered, barely audible. I was wrong. I see that now. You're all I want. I laughed, a jagged, ugly sound. Too late. You picked your thrill. Live with it. She lunged forward, grabbing my arm, her nails digging in. Jack, no. I can't lose you. We're a family. I yanked free, shoving the coffee table aside with a crash, magazines spilling like guts. Family? You killed at the second you spread your legs for him. The words were venom, and she staggered back, clutching her chest like I'd hit her. I didn't care. The room spun, the chipped mugs on the counter, the streetlights bleeding through the blinds, and all I could feel was the hole she'd carved out of me. I want a divorce, I said, the words heavy, final, dropping like stones. Her eyes widened, a wail tearing from her throat as she sank to her knees, reaching for me. No, please, Jack. Stop it, I roared, kicking a chair out of my way, the wood splintering against the wall. You don't get to beg now. You made your bed, go cry in it. She collapsed, sobbing into the rug, her hands clawing at the fibers, and I turned away, my vision blurring. I grabbed my jacket, the leather cold against my skin, and stormed to the door. Her voice chased me. Jack, don't go. But I didn't look back. The hallway swallowed me, the echo of her cries fading as I hit the stairs, my chest heaving with a pain so deep it felt like drowning. I was done. She'd shattered us, and I wouldn't pick up the pieces. The night I left, the city swallowed me whole. I stumbled out of our building into the Brooklyn streets, the air sharp with April chill and the tang of exhaust. My boots hit the pavement hard, each step a hammer blow, driving me away from her, from us. The streetlights flickered, casting long shadows that stretched and broke across the cracked sidewalks. I didn't know where I was going, just away, anywhere but that apartment with its shattered glass and her broken pleas ringing in my ears. My jacket hung heavy on my shoulders, the leather creaking as I shoved my hands deep into my pockets, fingers brushing the keys I'd grabbed on instinct. I wasn't going back. Not tonight. Not ever. I ended up at a dive bar on Flatbush, the kind of place with sticky floors and neon signs buzzing faintly in the windows. The bartender, a grizzled guy with a gray beard, slid me a whiskey without a word, and I downed it, the burn searing my throat, matching the fire in my chest. The TV above the bar flickered with news of the rally aftermath, arrests, speeches, Trump's smug face, and I stared at it, numb. That damn rally. One day, one crowd, and it had ripped my life apart. I ordered another drink, my reflection in the smudged glass showing a man I barely recognized. Hollow eyes, jaw clenched, a stranger wearing my skin. Emily, meanwhile, was alone in the wreckage. I could picture her, curled on the rug, her sobs echoing off the walls, the splintered chair lying where I'd kicked it. She'd tried calling, my phone buzzing in my pocket until I silenced it, the screen lighting up with her name, Em. I didn't answer. She'd text next, I knew it. Apologies, promises, more tears, but I couldn't read them. Not yet. Maybe not ever. She'd gambled on Ryan, on that fleeting rush, and lost everything. He was gone, a ghost who'd used her and vanished, and now I was too. She'd sit there, surrounded by the ruins of our life, the coffee table askew, the photo frame in pieces, and realize what she'd done. but it wouldn't bring me back. I crashed at a coworker's place that week, a spare room with a lumpy mattress and the faint smell of cat litter. Mike didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and left me to stew. I filed for divorce the next day, the lawyer's office sterile and cold, the papers crisp under my shaking hands. My signature looked foreign, Jack Carter, 38, soon-to-be ex-husband. I didn't feel relief, just a dull ache, like a limb had been hacked off and I was still bleeding. Work became my anchor, the hum of machines, the weight of tools, but even there, her shadow lingered. A flash of red in the break room, a laugh too close to hers, and I'd falter, my gut twisting. Emily tried reaching out. A voicemail, her voice small, cracked. Jack, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to fix this, but I miss you. I deleted it, my thumb hovering over the screen before pressing hard, erasing her. She'd stopped by Mike's once, her coat damp from rain, her eyes pleading through the peephole. I didn't open the door. She'd left a note. I love you. Always will. And I tore it up, the pieces fluttering to the floor like ash. She had nothing left. No Ryan, no me, just an empty apartment and a life she'd torched. Weeks later, I rented a studio in Queens, a bare box with peeling wallpaper and a view of a brick wall. I unpacked a duffel bag, clothes, a toothbrush, a cracked mug, and stood there, the silence pressing in. The pain hadn't dulled, just shifted, a constant hum under my skin. Emily was out there, alone, her world collapsed, and I was here, starting over with nothing but ghosts. We'd both lost, her to her choices, me to her betrayal. The city churned on outside, indifferent, and I wondered if I'd ever shake the shadow she'd left behind.